Yuradumarang everyone, it's Letitia here from Letitia and Designs. I hope you are having a fabulous day. I am on here to have a yarn to you guys around Mental Health Awareness Month. So for the month of October, it is focused on really sharing the messages of the importance of breaking the stigma about mental health and also opening up those conversations. It is something that should happen all the time, but as we know, we are still in a space where mental health can still be a bit taboo, and there's still some like underlying angst against actually recognizing and supporting people with mental health issues, because it's different for every single person. And so I thought to share a bit about my story and my experiences with mental health myself and what that's meant for me, to show you that even the people that look like they're doing well, or have their shit together, it's not always the case. That we all experience different types and levels of whether it's anxiety, depression, ongoing mental health issues, and it's something that we need to be comfortable with talking about, but also helping and recognizing and supporting people in our communities, our friends and families that are going through these things as well. When I look at mental health, I look at the fact that I see it as something that is just a part of who we are as humans, that it is something we can overcome, but there are times when it can be extremely tough and it can impact your everyday life. So knowing what to look towards, who to reach out to for support in those times is very important. And it's not always easy because sometimes we live in denial of experiencing it, or we feel like we're alone. So it can be quite isolating as well. So my experiences, so I was actually diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, so PTSD, back when I was in year 10. So I would have been about 15 at the time. And that was from complex childhood trauma that I experienced from abuse and neglect when I was younger. For some of you that may know, I did go into foster care when I was 12. So for those 3 years, it was really tough, really trying to work through what was trauma, but what was also ongoing mental health issues that I was experiencing as a teenager. And so I experienced anxiety and depression pretty rapidly, where I would be super high one moment, like having the super happy, super outgoing, like to the point that would seem like I was crazy and living on a high, because I was just just jumping around all the time. I couldn't regulate myself, and then I would switch, I would just kind of flip over and then be super low. I would isolate myself, I would become distant, and things like that. So I had that kind of imbalance within, I couldn't sit in the middle of those kind of levels. And I also experienced things such as dissociation. So dissociating for me is where I could be doing something present and being here with you, talking to you, or doing something like doing schoolwork or something, and then I would just disappear in my head. So I would then and it's happened to me even in my adulthood, where I would, it might be 11 a.m. and next minute it's 1 p.m. and I don't know what happened in that 2-hour block because my mind has kind of pushed it away. Some of that was a coping mechanism for trauma as well. So if I was having triggers due to my PTSD, I would use dissociation as a way to escape. And other things that I experienced was ongoing panic attacks as well. So panic attacks for me was where I would get so hyped up to the point that I couldn't breathe. I would stop breathing, I would shut down, I'd basically curl up into a little ball. I would be having extreme negative internal dialogue and be telling myself that I would be thinking and feeling like I was going to die, because I would feel like I couldn't breathe anymore as well. So those are kind of things that I have experienced in the past as well. And that has really kind of played a toll in my journey as well. Like it can be quite debilitating as well. So, and just anxiety, like the overthinking and the lack of sleep, or when I would become depressed, it was oversleeping, so just not wanting to get out of bed, lack of motivation. And so this was stuff that occurred during my teenage years, and then I did a lot of healing as well. Seen a lot of counselors, had a lot of support. I've been on antidepressants since year 10 as well, so I've had tried a whole different strategies. Had a life coach, so Caitlin Emma coaching. She was amazing. I did coaching for 15 months with Caitlin a couple of years ago, and that was a huge shift to me, because it wasn't just focused on the battles of my trauma. It was also focused on healing the inner child, doing some timeline therapy, but also recognizing what behaviors were from my childhood lessons and things that I've experienced, what was impacting me in my 19 and 20s as well, like what was still present in my life, what boundaries was I struggling to make, and things like that. And these are all things that were linked to experiences, but also linked to my mental health as well. And then through a lot of that healing, it came to being able to also recognize that it was coming to terms with emotional connection, because for a long time I kind of pushed emotions away. So I didn't, even in my early 20s, I didn't understand how to say, actually I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling agitated, or I'm feeling sad. Like I would try and keep thinking that I had to live in this happy headspace and had to be sitting on top of the world because I was doing all these amazing things, amazing opportunities, like having a good time in my life, but I was still not able to let myself be in, like, sit in my emotions, I guess. And so all these things take time, and it's like something that happens at different stages of your journey. Then also another thing that is even more recent is earlier this year. So January, I moved to Newcastle as well. And that was a huge shift to me because I moved away from my family. I left my house, so I owned a house in Dubbo. I moved away from my support system that was on the ground, from job like security, so because I was working I was in a permanent role as well. So I did this big shift and I left everything there and started a new life here in Newcastle with my partner. And so as much as it was all my decision, and I was really like empowered and proud of that decision and making that step in my journey, it also pushed a lot of my I guess my mental health issues to the forefront again, where I then started experience PTSD triggers. So I was experiencing childhood memories that were also then impacting my daily life. And so like I relinked to counselling support. I reevaluated with my doctor where I was at in my life, and had to recognize that these emotions, these memories, these things that were coming up, they were coming up now because it was time for me to experience it. It meant I had enough trust in myself now to go, yes, it's here, it's present, I'm struggling with it, but I am also accepting the fact that I know I can work through it now because I have for so long, and I had to believe that whatever was going on in my head, that I was able to overcome that as well and stay resilient and know that it doesn't define who I am still. And so PTSD is something that you don't ever get rid of. It's something that stays around for all your life, but you get better at building in strategies and trying things to work through it. But also accepting, once you accept that this is something that you can go through and get through, that it makes it easier on the other side. So I guess my biggest thing is for young people that especially that have grown up in care or have gone through a lot of trauma. You don't have to have been in care to have gone through significant amounts of trauma in your life. Even as adults, we go through trauma. And if you experience triggers and PTSD, that to remember that it is something that is in your mind that is trying to protect you from something that your mind thinks is worrying for you, or is something that you might be unsafe of, because that's what the trigger is doing. It's like highlighting that alarm in your brain going, oh my God, you're at risk, you're unsafe, you're unsafe. The best thing you can do is tell yourself you are safe. Breathe, take it in and go, no, I am safe right now. This is where I am. So bring yourself back to your present. So remind yourself, for example, I'm here in Newcastle with my partner. I'm loved, I'm supported, I'm cared for, I'm worthy of happiness. I am safe. I'm not around the people that made me unsafe. I'm not in any circumstance that is unsafe right now. I am safe where I am. You need to remind yourself of that, because your brain will always subconsciously trigger that flight or fight kind of reaction, or the freeze reaction, that you've got to push through that and remind yourself who you are, where you're at, and what you're doing. And so that was the biggest thing that I had to really work through this year. The other big thing around mental health is experiencing burnout. And for a lot of Black businesses, or even like just people in general living on a kind of like a hustle streak, or being a mum working full time, or a dad trying to juggle everything that we've got going on in our lives alongside COVID is being extremely stressful. The isolation and not being able to be around our loved ones, not being able to be with our support system, like it's been freaking tough. And we need to recognize that. But also we need to not let ourselves fall in the trap of living in like scarcity, or living in fear of the unknown, because that's going to hold us down. So we've got to keep going. We've got to keep staying connected to the people that we know are our support systems and that are there for us. But also, if you are struggling, don't be afraid to reach out to different services and counselors and support, like life coaches, whatever it is that works for you, because we're in a space where we're stuck at home, but we don't need to be alone. So I guess when it comes to burnout for me earlier this year, that's when I really had to reshift my thinking. I was in denial of burnout. Like I was like, no, I can't be burnout. Like I've always been a busy person. I've always done a lot. And I've burnt out in the past as well when I was a youth worker. Emotionally, it was an emotional burnout. Whereas this time it's like more so like actively, constantly doing work in my business. And what was happening, I was getting extremely sick. And some of you would have seen on my socials, I was like every second week, I was just unwell. I was like bedridden. I was experiencing a lot of gut issues, a lot of nausea, and I wasn't able to focus. I was still dissociating because of the PTSD that was present as well. And so I was losing a lot of time. And the biggest thing that really woke me up was my partner turned around and said to me, Letitia, you're depressed. I was like, no, I can't be depressed. Like, why would I be depressed? I've got all these cool things going on, like just winning awards, got my business, building a team around me, like all these super positive things going on, but I couldn't feel happy. And that was unsettling for me because I was like, being happy, like that's just the kind of person I am. I just like bouncing around, like trying to be positive with things. I am an empath. I can't even say the word. I'm very empathetic, maybe? Sorry, some words do not come naturally to me, but I'm an empath. That's the word. With everything that I do as well. So I do hold on to a lot of kind of emotional hold on when I do have people in my life that are going through things as well. And so I have to remember to take time from that as well. And so once I really let it sink in to go, actually, yes, I am going through a really rough time. And this was only a couple of months ago. I was going through a really rough time. That was what really, and recognizing that really made the shift. Like I spoke to some of my close best friends and my mom and my family, and I said, look, this is where I'm at. I'm actually not okay at the moment. I went back to my doctor, like reevaluated the medication I was on, said been on it since I was in year 10, so I was like, it's not working. And yeah, I just really had to take a step back and look in at myself and go, okay, what's different? Why are we in this space? And that's when I had to really set some boundaries as well. So that's where I shifted like what my business days were, because I used to work ridiculously, like crazy hours, and I still do at times, but not in the way that I was like to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the night, just to try and make sure I got everything done. So now I really set some boundaries. I've also done things such as started doing yoga with my friends online, really sat back into looking at learning how to do meditation, and also other things such as sleep stories, and doing Zumba classes now, and just different things that shifted my energy from being so focused on work, sitting at my computer, go, like breaking that go cycle. And it really made a difference. But it also made me realize that like burnout it's hard. Like you don't always see it coming. And we can live in denial even when we think we've done enough healing and like have a good self-awareness as well. That's why you gotta lean on your supports and open up and trust in vulnerability and trust in yourself, that you're going to be okay as well. But also, taking that step to really shift that focus back onto you. You've got to put yourself first. And you need to realize that you're not in control of other people's actions. The only person you're in control of is you and what you do and what you're going to do moving forward. So that was basically like what I've had to work through over the last couple of months. So I really took some time to look in at alternative supports and connections I could make as well. So I connected to Caroline Kell from Black Bottle Coaching and did her Black Burnout program, which was really helpful to really dig in and see that some of this hustle culture and the way that we are stems from our ancestors as well. So stems from it's I guess Western way of thinking and doing is just constantly doing things, and that's where we've got to go, no, our ancestors never put that pressure on themselves. They had different roles, and they had time to themselves. So, and remembering that, yes, we want to be there for people and we want to support people. We're givers. We give a lot. We take on a lot of people's energies, but we have to let go of that energies and go, what is like ask people for that energy back, like going, no, I want my energy back, here is your energies back as well, like actually shifting away from that. And then also Yolanda as well, I will add them both down in the comments. They're both amazing Black women that are out in community really supporting First Nations, like beautiful, beautiful souls. And Emma Stewart as well is another amazing, deadly sister that I really have been looking towards. Like, she does this technique with clapsticks and breathing, so box breathing as well. It's literally grounds me every time I do that with her, because it's just something that it's like, it's, you know, with meditation, sometimes your mind just wanders and you're like, what is this? Well, it's something that feels culturally safe, but also it's for everyone. It's not just for Aboriginal people to be listening to clapsticks. Like the power of that beat and that connection to the earth and connection to the spirits, like, because as we know, the trees are our livelihood. We live and breathe through the oxygen of the trees, but also all the energy that comes through them, all the history that trees hold, because they're rooted in the ground, so they bring like so many stories and so much wisdom with them as well. Like, they're just so significant. That clapsticks are a part of that process, like the way that they're created as well. So you feel that energy, you feel that breath as well. Like the trees are helping you breathe through that. So it's something really powerful that I've really enjoyed investing in. And so another thing I'm doing at the moment is Yolanda's Honouring You program as well over the next 8 weeks, which is all about bringing yourself to the focus as well. So there's so many amazing ways that you can get support. It doesn't have to be counselor if that's not what you want, but even just yarning with your friends, just trusting that in your support systems. There's also hotlines such as Lifeline and mental health hotline as well, for if you really need someone outside of your friends and family, because sometimes it can be hard to speak to them. So those supports are there as well. So at the end of the day, it's just remembering you're not alone in this. There are people there, there's strategies that even I'm always happy to have a yarn, like, and, you know, trusting in that space as well. So I take my hat off to all the amazing people that are working on the ground supporting people through mental health right now, and the struggles, because it is tough, but also, like, just know, honestly, it's the only thing I can say to you is you're not alone, like, in this space as well, and that there is a way through it. And no matter what life throws at you, you have to keep pushing, keep that resilience, because stuff comes in phases, and sometimes it can feel like it's never ending as well, and that you're not going to get better or you're not going to heal. But that's not true. It just, it takes time, and that can be overwhelming knowing that, but honestly, it just takes time. You'll find things that work for you, but you've got to be open to it the whole time as well. You've got to be open to taking those steps and taking those actions, but listening to people and trusting in what they're saying as well. So that's pretty much my huge yarn. I think I'm already at 25 minutes. Wow. But I just wanted to share with you, like, my story, my experiences. If you have any questions or want to connect or yarn further, I'm more than happy to do that. Like I said, I'm at a space where I've been doing a lot of healing over the last few years, and understanding and being able to talk about my own mental health as well, but also listening into other people's mental health. I've been a youth worker for like 7 years, so listening into young people in their space of trying to work through that as well. So I hope you do have a fabulous day. Totally check out all the amazing resources and connections that I popped down below. Lots of great value. And I hope you have a great week. I will jump on and yarn with you guys next week. And Manangul, thank you for listening. Love yarning with you every single time. Have a good mental health awareness month. But also, don't make it just a month of focus. Like, really focus on yourself moving forward. Put you first.